Woo! That's it. All right, coming up next is Olivia Olivia Gilmore. Alice Hollander. That was a really specific joke. I'm sorry for everyone else that didn't get it. So my roommate and I hosted like an Easter brunch this morning where we invited our friends. And it was like a potluck thing where you all bring like your own food. And 4 separate people showed up with a dozen donuts from Donut Kingdom. But the best part is like none of those people knew each other. So I'm just picturing them all arriving at Donut Kingdom at the same time and all just like slowly going over to our apartment and realizing that they're all coming to the same thing, all with a dozen Donut Kingdom donuts. So does anybody else think that Jesus is kind of an asshole?
Yes.
Woo! Thank you. Hear me out. For everyone that doesn't agree. So, have you ever seen a picture of Jesus smiling? No, right? I've seen more pictures of Jesus smiling than I've seen of Jesus smiling. And that's saying something. Jesus doesn't have friends. He has followers, which is sort of like being Instagram famous. And last but not least, sometimes Jesus will meet someone and he'll learn their name, but he'll just decide to call them a different name entirely. But he's not giving them like a cool nickname. Like he's not meeting Simon and calling him like Boss or J-Shots. He's meeting Simon and calling him Peter, an equally uncool name. Don't even get me started on Saul and Paul. That's like he just like misheard him at a really crowded party, and Saul felt too awkward to correct him, so now he's just Paul for the rest of his life. I got my first boyfriend when I was in college. I was a sophomore. I was a bit of a late bloomer. It's fine. And it was this guy who grew up in Paris, France. He moved to Miami for about 1 year before coming to Tallahassee, and which naturally means he has a very heavy Miami accent. But I was very naive about our relationship because, you know, I had never been in one before. So there are certain like red flags that I didn't really get, like the fact that he didn't tell his mom about me. But the thing is, he's Hispanic, so he talks with his mom on the phone at least twice a day. And these are not short conversations, these are very lengthy conversations, talking about just like everything. Well, except for me, but everything else. And eventually I did break up with him, and I'd love to say that it was because it was like a self-love realization that, you know, he didn't deserve me in the first place. But the real reason is that he got transition lens glasses, and I just can't be dating anyone that wears transition lens glasses. I have a problem when I text, because I like to use a lot of question marks, but the M and the question mark are the same button on my phone. And so sometimes I don't press down long enough on the M and I get an M and a question mark. But instead of fixing it, I just sort of roll with it. It makes my questions more like accusatory or suggestive. Like, WID. Or like texting my lab partner like, are we studying tonight? Or like texting my mom like, did you get milk? I got hit on me once by telling me that my name is like all sex noises, which is fair enough because my name is mostly vowels, and any vowel can be a sex noise, including sometimes Y's. Thank you. You know it's true. A lot of people ask me how I got started in comedy, and it all happened when I starred in every single one of my elementary school talent shows. And I know what you're thinking, Olivia, how can you star in something that's meant to showcase the various talents of the youth? But the thing is, it's show business, right? It's all about who you know. And I know my mom, who happens to be in charge of the talent show every single year. But she would always complain about it because she had to sit through all the auditions and everything, and she could never like turn an act away for not being good enough because these are like 8-year-olds. But kids would write their own skits and perform them. Thank you, Alex. For some reason. Yeah, but were you the kid, Alex, writing skits and performing? Great, that checks out too. Where was I? Okay, American Idol skits. So, specifically, children would want to be in American Idol skits. American Idol was very popular at the time, right? It was the peak, 2001 to 2008. And they were always horrible and the same thing because children would write them and children aren't funny intentionally until 6th grade. Some of my peers actually asked me to be in an American Idol skit, which sort of means I have made it in the tough social climate that was terrible elementary school. But my bit was good because I played a contestant with severe asthma and sang Jordan Sparks' No Air. Clearly I was a comedy prodigy. Naturally I became a theater kid in high school. And if you know anything about theater kids, you know they fit into 2 categories. 1, the hypersexual, and 2, the sexually deprived. If it's any indication to you as to which category I fit into, the closest I came to sex in high school is when I played an unnumbered prostitute in our school's production of Les Miserables. Thank you, Jeff. We also did West Side Story, which is surprising because my Connecticut high school was 99.9999999% white, and if you know West Side Story, half the cast is supposed to be in a Puerto Rican gang. So what my director did is, he just sort of threw whatever vaguely ethnic kids we had into the shark gang. So we had 1 Colombian guy. That was really good. We were all very excited about that. We had 2 Asian kids, a black girl, and a ginger. And I'm not even making that up. His name is Douglas Frederick Barnard. He goes to Cornell. I enjoyed high school. I'm one of the weird kids that enjoyed high school. I still have some gripes with it, like, I was runner-up for class clown, and I will never get over that. I will always be upset about that. Thank you. But I had a lot of fun, you know. I had a good group of friends. I went to prom with this really hot guy. And we had a great time at prom until the very end when he got a phone call. And when he returned, he was very upset. He had been crying. But he didn't tell me why. The prom was over, so we did as every Connecticut teen does and drove to Rhode Island. But it was a really awkward car ride because, again, he wouldn't tell me why he was upset. So about halfway through, he finally told me that was his dad on the phone, calling to tell him that his childhood bird had died. I didn't know what to do in this situation. I'm not a very empathetic person. So I offered to give him a blowjob, which he declined. Which I can only assume is because the bobbing of my head would have reminded him too much of his dead bird. Thank you, that's all I've got.